Okay, for the last part of the Massage for You exercise, we're going to create the contact page. So this is the page where the user of the website can send an inquiry to Massage for You with their name and address and email address. So this is going to require a HTML form to be created. A form page is one that's actually sent back to the server. Dreamweaver gives us some easy ways of creating a form, so let's get cracking with it. First off, what I've created, before I even create the contact page, the page which is going to have the form on it, I've created a confirmation page. This is what's sitting in front of me. Confirmation page is the page that's displayed to the user when the form is submitted. They become clearer later when we see it, but to do that you just simply copy one of your HTML pages, so any of the pages down in your HTML folder, just copy it, clear off everything, and then just put a heading like inquiry confirmation, as I've done, type in a short message, and then basically that's just the confirmation that appears to the user. Let's now create the main page, the contact page itself, which is going to have the form on it. So I'm going to copy this confirmation page, so Control C, Control V. As you can see, I've got a copy page has been created. I'm going to press F2 to rename that, and I'm going to call that contact.html, and then open the page up. Say update to the message that pops up. So let's have a look at this contact page. So the contact page, I don't need this panel anymore, so I'm going to close it. I'm just going to put the heading contact us. Now what we're going to do is create the form on this page, and to do that I need to go to the window and get the insert panel shown. So click on insert. Mine's already set to forms, but if you do the drop down, click on forms, and you get all the controls that Dreamweaver gives you to actually put a form on this page. I'm going to put the form basically over right where the text is at the moment, and the first tool you need to use is the form tool. You just click on it. Whoops, I wanted that to overwrite that. Let's just get rid of that line and bring it up a little bit. Let's try that again. Just click on the form, and what you get is these dotted red lines appear. Now all the form, the whole form and everything that goes within it must fit within those dotted lines, so I'll normally just create some blank space, and now I'm going to add the form fields within this box that's denoted by these dotted red lines. What we need on the form, I'm just going to create a basic one to start with, is going to be first name, second name and email address. So I want the three form fields to be on here. First name and second name, use the most simple field, which is called a text field. So if I click on that in my forms panel, comes up this pop-up box. The ID field here we're not going to use at the moment, but it's good practice to put something in there. I'm going to call this first name, and later on in another course when we look at JavaScript we'll make use of that. For the moment just put it in as practice. The label is what appears to the left of our first name field, so I want to put in a label that makes sense to the user for first name. If any of these, the radio buttons, are set to anything else, click to the the middle one, attach label tag using the 4 attributes, and let's just press OK. That's basically it. We've got the first form field, so got the label first name, and I've got the box where they can type in the first name. I've now clicked down, so I've got a line below the first name. I'm going to do another text field for the second name. Same thing, just put in an ID second underscore name, and then the label which the user's going to see, whoops, second name. Leave everything else, so I've now got that. A special field, it's not going to use one of these ones, it's going to use what Dreamweaver calls one of these spry tools. Same as we've done with the spry menus. What spry means in Dreamweaver is that we get some it's going to add some JavaScript code, some program code in the background. We don't need to worry about it, but the background code is going to do a bit of extra work on this field. And what we want is a validation text field. We're going to use this for the email address. So I click on this. Looks much the same as the other fields, so let's just call that email, and for the user we put a label, email address. Leave all the rest of the defaults. The field's created, but it's a spry field, which means we can actually do some validation, and we can tell Dreamweaver what we want allowed in that field, and in this case we want email addresses. So if I click on the blue label above there, if you look down in the panel below the property inspector, you get the things that you can change for this field, and we want to tell Dreamweaver that it's a particular type of field. We're going to allow only certain types of data. You get this long list of things that pop up, so we just want to allow email addresses in there. We'll see how this works in a moment. So if I use email address, that's it. It comes up with this invalid format. It's just showing us the error message that will be shown if somebody doesn't put in an email address in there. Final thing we need to do is a submit button, a button that the user clicks, and this form is submitted back to the web server for processing. I'm just going to put another blank line between the email address, and I'm going to put a button in there, and the submit button, there you go, there's a, on the panel on the right we've got this button. I click on it. This time I don't need to add any more details, so I'm just going to cancel the pop-up, and by default Dreamweaver assumes this is a submit button, and it puts submit on there for us. Now if you click on it, the submit button, just look in the property inspector, just ensure that the value field has got the word submit. So that means this button is a submit button and the form will be submitted. We're near enough there actually. One more thing we need to do, and that's we need to tell Dreamweaver, okay, when someone clicks on the submit button and the form is submitted to the web server, what page is displayed afterwards? And what I want is that confirmation page I showed at the beginning. So we have to do puts in some additional information for the whole form. So I want to select the form. What I'm going to do is if I click on there's a number of ways of doing it. If you click on the red dotted line, I've selected the form. You can see that all the fields and everything selected, they're all outlined in black. Another way of checking it, if you want to, is if you check down the bottom, just underneath your workspace, you'll see that there is a form division which is highlighted. That means I've selected the form, so anything I do now will affect the whole form. Property inspector's changed to represent the form. The only thing I need to do is to tell it what to do when the form's submitted. And what I'm going to do is link from here to my confirmation page I created earlier. And that's it. Let's see how it works. So let's test it out. I'm going to run it in Chrome, save the changes. Okay, so now I've got my user form in front of me. I've got first name and everything, so now I'm looking at it through the browser. Let's submit it. And first of all, you can see the email address validation works. So this is forcing some to enter it. So let's put something into this particular area, first and second name. There's a little bit more on this email address validation. Let's put in an invalid email address, so I'll just type in the word mail, press submit. Now it's telling me it's an invalid format, because what it's expecting is it would check to see that there's the ampersand character, so mail at, and there should also be another word plus dot, and then either .com or .co or something else. So it just checks that there's a valid format. It cannot check the email address actually exists, so you can put anything in, but it does actually check that it's in the right format. Now let's submit it, and as you can see, my inquiry confirmation page appears.